Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the COASTER-net update. We've got some breaking news out of Canada's Wonderland, where we finally have found out what the big speculation's been all about. We've been kind of tracking it on again, off again over the last few days and weeks. And we found out today that the brand new coaster is AlpenFury.
The Blast Coaster.
Well, one would think. And you know what? Let's open up there because we got to open up with the ironic and the funny here on this show.
Yeah.
And who would have thought that in the year that King's Dominion gets a big brand new coaster? We've all seen Rapterra, looks great, gonna be great for that park. But in the year that they get a brand new coaster, that a different Cedar Fair park gets a launch coaster up out of a mountain. You can't make
Now,
this shit up.
now we know why they got to announce first.
Oh my, because people would have I, I've seen a couple people say things here and there, but like this is like the height of I can't believe this is happening right now. Like and it's a this looks like so let's start with this looks like a great ride for Canada's Wonderland, but I gotta start with the funny as always. That they are
Could you
literally launching this coaster up out of Wonder Mountain, just like Volcano launched.
could you imagine if they announced this like old Six Flags style, where we got everything together? People would have looked at that and been like,
People were like,
"I'm
wait, hold on, did they mess up where this is going? Isn't this going
are the
to
names wrong."
right?
Yeah.
Somebody messed up the graphic today. I don't know if they got their lines crossed, but this is just another example of like Cedar Fair, like I don't know if it's cross promotion, but we've seen that in the parks every now and then, a little cross promotion. And we're going to look at some stuff with AlpenFury that this isn't the only nod to other parks inside the chain. And usually it's just like little things like, in Mystic Timber Station, you'll see something that says Snake River on it or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But here,
I
this
like
is
the fake branding.
that what?
I like the fake branding, like when they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. It kind of ties things together, and people who are in the know are like, "Oh, look at that!" Ha ha ha, and they move on with their lives and they go on the ride. So it's as much theming as we get. But let's look at AlpenFury here a little bit. Also a weird name, I think, with Fury being in there, and we're going to see some nods when we look at the actual layout to Fury 325, especially when it comes to the turnaround. But overall, this is a premier launched roller coaster. We kind of had Premier targeted as the manufacturer of choice here, right? That was who we kind of said.
Yeah, I was stuck on West Coast Racers, so the surprise for me that it wasn't dual track, but
Well, and that
that
is a
the
little strange too. That that
yeah.
that the ride is. Let me go to the stats here. Um. Ooh, okay, that's cool. Whatever. Zoom tells me new things that I've never known before. So it is 32, about 3,300 feet, right under 3,300 feet. Um, so this is one of their bigger rides. And Premier, West Coast Racers is probably their biggest American ride. And we all know Premier from the old days with the Flight of Fears, the Chiller from Out by You, Mr. Freeze, the two clones of each other. So Premier's been around for a while, but it seems like Premier's in like renaissance of roller coasters. They kind of started with Full Throttle, I would say, out at Magic Mountain, which is a good ride, smooth ride. No one's ever really talked about how them having a bad ride experience in terms of rattle and stuff. Maybe in terms of the train, we've had some issues. They've become famous for their Skyrocket 2s all of a sudden that were popping up, cloned everywhere. And now they've kind of got into this big boy game with West Coast Racers. They did Icebreaker at SeaWorld. So now Premier's doing this huge coaster up at Canada's Wonderland. And what are some of your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, it does look pretty cool. The thing that struck me, I mean, after the launch sequence and seeing it go through the mountain, of course, was that they were going for the inversion, to tie the North American inversion record, and they're saying that it's a record breaker because it's the most inversions on a launched roller coaster in North America,
Wow, it's a
which
lot of
it's a
qualifiers.
lot of qualifiers. But I was impressed because sometimes when I see like it's got 7 inversions, it's got 9 inversions. We're going for a high inversion count. Sometimes they're not really strung together very thoughtfully, and it just kind of feels like we're just going through as many as we can. And
Mhm.
I feel like I feel like they paired them together really well, where it kind of feels like each sequence has almost like a dual inversion. I mean, obviously we've got an odd number here, but the treble clef design that you were talking about is kind of like a dual inversion to me. There's kind of like a wind up and wind out element to that. There's one where it kind of dives into a corkscrew and does another corkscrew. So it does have some thoughtful touches on how they sequenced it, and I've watched the POV a couple of times, but that stuff struck out to me really fast.
Well, and the thing that makes me excited is, I was on Icebreaker and outside of the comfort collars, which appear for right now not to be on these trains. In any of the animation, there are no comfort collars anywhere, which kind of surprised me being Canada, because I know Canada sometimes has stricter regulations for things every now and then. Just weird things. So I thought, oh, they're probably gonna have comfort collars. And here, none of the animations have comfort collars, which would be a huge win for this coaster. And the other thing that excited me is, like I said before, how smooth Icebreaker was. Icebreaker is smooth as ice. Anyway, uh, sorry. And I said that would actually be a really nice coaster. I have not ridden it without the collars. They've have since taken them off. And that to me would greatly improve that ride experience on Icebreaker. That anytime you're trying to get anything going with airtime, it's just those collars just push you down. If you've ever been on the Skyrocket 2, like Tigris or Tempesto, versus like a Phobia Fear Coaster or a Superman Ultimate Flight out at Discovery Kingdom. If you've ever been on those are much improved ride experiences without the collars as opposed to with the collars. So hopefully the collars is just the Busch Gardens thing, and we don't see that expanded out here at all. The other exciting part about some of the renderings is because Premier, these trains have also been known to be hard to get in and out of. So, and one of the things is the old Premier trains had these weird triangle pieces on the side. And me and you were talking earlier, trying to figure out why you thought they were on there. It always caused issues trying to get in and out of the train. They're so tight and it was uncomfortable. And then you had the collars on, and this is ridiculous. So, what was your thought of why?
Well, I think it's for, lateral support a little bit. I mean, it's not part of the seat, but it doesn't allow like a torso to go outside
Mhm.
of the body of the train. Like, yeah, my arm can go out there, but if my whole body goes out there, it really does expand that envelope. So it's probably why they're there. It looks like in the rendering to me that it's not a big flat panel, but it looks like there's bars there. So I don't know if that's going to give
Yeah.
us more room, to feel more open, but it does make it look more open, at least in the
And
rendering.
that's been the two biggest knocks on the Premier trains are the big panels on the side and the comfort collars. Outside of that, you have a standard lap bar, you have some shin guards, which, you know, if you're going
Yeah.
to go upside down in today's day and age, you're not going to have an OTSR. You need shin guards, I guess.
Well, it
Unless,
really locks the lower part of your body in place. It won't let your hips move. I mean, I know that they're not comfortable, but I prefer it to the over the shoulders. I
yeah.
think the popularity of RMC, that's
Well, and the
probably
problem is you have companies out there because like, do the new Intamin trains have shin guards? I don't remember. They have something, right? I feel
they
like.
don't. It's just, but the U brick is
Oh,
very
oh
large.
yeah, yeah,
It locks your waist, but it also is a large flat pad across your thighs. So
yeah.
it's
That's true too. So like everyone loves the Intamin trains now in the Mac trains. So this is a little bit, you know, this is how they do it. But let's look at the ride itself a little bit. So the other puzzling thing is, like we said, we thought it was going to be a dueling coaster because they have the fire and the ice. They've kind of tied it together with the logo, this AlpenFury with the blue and the fight with the blue and the red and the orange. But it's not a dueling coaster. It is a launch coaster.
They are
Um,
calling they're calling two of their signature inversions, the fire serpent roll and the ice winder roll. So like that's where that tease is going back to, I guess, in reality, is the elements themselves they've named that.
and it's kind of cool because that first, I think I think it's interesting that they're doing almost an inverted top hat off that launch to the mountain, and I thought that was really interesting because a lot of people now. When I went on Mr. Freeze at St. Louis and at over Texas, like I wasn't a huge fan of the inverted top hat, but so many people over the last decade or so have been just throwing heaps of praise on the inverted top hat. It is a unique element. You don't get that a whole lot of places. And it looks like it exits nicer from it than maybe Mr. Freeze does.
It looks
Um, it
the
looks what you
pullout.
said?
The pullouts look shallower. I've never been on Mr. Freeze, but the chiller did have the inverted top
Okay.
hat, and that was my preferred side. I like that better actually.
And like that just seems like a premier staple now, which I think is kind of cool to have like your own thing where okay, this is what we do. So that's pretty cool. And then and some people are criticizing the number of barrel rolls that all the inversions do feel a little bit similar, but I like you said, I think they pair well. I think they um I think if it's a smooth ride, I think it's just going to be a fun experience. And flipping upside down, I'd much rather have a barrel roll than just some maneuver, back and forth. Like so many rides now just go this way and then go that way. And that was my big criticism of Velocicoaster, where I feel like on that ride there was a lot of throwaway elements where it's like, okay, they're just trying to get you to the next spot and just trying to throw something in the middle of it. Instead of just taking it straight like, the greatest ride ever Raptor does. When it needs to get to that helix, they just go straight. That's what you should do. Like, why put anything in there? But here you put in a barrel roll. That's kind of cool too to do that, I think. So it just felt
Not
like
in a row either. It's not like a barrel roll in a row or interlocking corkscrews or something. Like there's a rise and a fall on both of them. One of them does a turn and then it turns again when you drop, and the other one winds in and then it winds out in the opposite direction. So they do kind of like give you something to make it a little more unique. I'm,
exactly.
I'm giving them points on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like it. I think it's gonna ride really smooth. I think it's gonna feel a lot like Volcano because Volcano did that too with those really good
Rock and
rolls
roll.
and
The whole ride. It was
right the
only
whole ride. I just feel like this is like an homage to Volcano. So it is 71 miles an hour, so you're getting a nice little speed out of there too. The question I'm hoping you contain that speed or maintain that speed throughout the whole thing. You're obviously going to lose some speed, but hopefully you're going at a nice pace through all that stuff. And I'm just overall pretty. This thing's massive. When you look at the overall scope of how big this thing is, it's starting in the mountain. The station is behind the mountain, and you're shooting up almost all the way to the front of the park. Right along International Street there. You're coming really close to the front of the park. This is going to be a crowd pleaser. You're going over some midways here that you're going to see some. The huge hang time element is right over a big midway that goes off to the flight deck over there. I haven't been to Canada's Wonderland in the better part of a decade, so pardon me if I don't know exactly. I know exactly where this is, but I don't know this park like the back of my hand. Um, but this is going to have some great visuals on it. It's going to have some great, just elements on it. I'm kind of excited for this one because Canada's Wonderland's a park that I've always said has a lot of coasters, but doesn't have a lot of quality coasters, right?
Yeah, it does have a good place because it looks like there's a lot of areas where you can observe the coaster as well. Like by
Yeah.
that treble clef dive, it looks like there's a little plaza with like a sculpture in the middle, and like
Uh-huh.
you said, on the entrance. So I mean, it's going to be a focal point.
Oh,
Now,
people are going to know this ride.
one thing that I'm a little concerned about, and that it's a bit different from its past coasters. So like Yukon Striker they put in was the last big thrill coaster. 1,300 people was the theoretical capacity, and this is a very busy park. So if this they're talking a minute and 20 ride time, they only bought two trains, and I'm a little concerned about how many dispatches they could possibly make an hour. If they did like 40 dispatches an hour, you're getting a little over 700 people. If you're getting like 45 dispatches an hour, now you're talking a little over 800, maybe like 820. Like they might have a hard time like cracking that barrier. Like that's the exact time of the ride, you know? If it hits the brakes and they can launch, like more power to
Well,
them,
and,
you
and,
know.
and that's where the puzzling part of not having it dual is a little like, okay, why didn't they go that road? And I don't know how that would help the capacity at all, but I would feel that that would allow, well, I don't know how West Coast Racers, does that help the capacity on that? I've never been on it, so I don't know.
You got twice as many people on the ride like actually riding the ride at the same time
Well,
because there's two.
true. And that's the other thing too. Like Maverick, has that issue, but Maverick has the secondary launch in the middle of it where you can put another train out on the track, and that because that's the only other way to really get more trains on the track to constantly have those people moving. Because that's the big issue that if you have a system where you can't get the next train out, then you have two trains sitting on brakes basically, and that lowers your overall capacity. You need to get that second train out almost immediately. And are you able to do that? Now, Canada has also been known for their creative, loose items systems. So
That's
they,
true. That was the coolest spin ever. I wonder. I wonder if they'll have
right?
something interesting here.
You never know. And Cedar Fair has been moving towards the no loose items. Maybe they'll do the shared. I thought the shared lockers, the shared lockers concept in general in theme parks. I've seen it in use, on Velocicoaster at Steel Vengeance. It has to be one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen in my life. Because I'm like, why is it 2024 and we've just thought of this now? Having
Yeah.
lockers with two sides.
Yeah, if they're gonna require it and they can put it like at a good point in the queue, like it's a no-brainer. I will say the only place that's done something different that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, was the Thunderbolt at Coney Island has basically like a coat check guy right before you go into the station. And they're like, "Do you want me to hold anything?" And like people, I've seen people hand the guy like a beer and like their wallet and stuff like that. And he'll give them a ticket and they go on the ride and you come right back around. And, it's like bowling shoes. They give you a little dish.
That,
I
that
mean, like,
was so weird. That was so weird. And the weirdest part for me is there was nobody there the day that I rode Thunderbolt. So it was literally like the four people getting off the coaster and us walking on. And I'm like, wait, who are you? What's going on here? like, I'm like, I don't even understand. New York's just a different world a lot of times. I don't know how you live there.
hey, it's good enough. Yeah.
um, so overall, I would say this is probably exactly what this park need. We said it, leading up to this, they need a launch coaster there. This fits that bill.
Fills a spot. Yeah. And a
Um,
good inversion based ride because Leviathan, Behemoth, they're great rides, but they're not inversion based.
no.
So this kind of fills that gap as well.
So you get your modern launch coaster, you get your modern inverted, doing an inversion record almost nine. Nine is impressive. Nine is impressive. So I'm excited about that. But overall, I say this is probably a big win for this park. Hopefully it's as smooth as the other ones we've known as, and with an improved train. Um, I'm really excited about this one. Like it could be, I'm not saying it's going to be a top whatever, because it's hard to say that at this point, but this it looks like a really solid ride that's going to fill a nice gap inside this park.
Yeah, and they do good launches too. Even the Skyrocket twos have good launches on them. Like
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
crazy about all LSM launches, but when somebody's got a good one, I notice, and usually they're
yeah.
pretty good.
I'm telling you, Icebreaker. I've said for a while, Icebreaker is a fine ride if they could just fix the flaws, and hopefully everything's been fixed on this that I've had, and most of the flaws were the train itself is in
Yeah,
fixing the
they're kind
not. It's 2024. What are we doing here with this train? So if you can fix all that, um, and come up with a good layout, which I think they have here. I think they have a decent layout. It's just funny. I just can't stop laughing today. I don't know why. I don't like the name either. I don't like. I'll be honest. I don't like the name
okay.
AlpenFury. It's very blasé to me, and I would have much rather had another monster be added to the lore. I think it would have been cooler. But
He's
I don't
Alpen
know.
guys.
And once again, the teasers kind of pointed to that, and
Yeah. I
What's
thought
with the symbols? Where are the symbols at? Like, I don't understand what the hell's going on here. Where are all these damn symbols at? Like they like because like in the lore they taught so they wrote a whole story about the lore and they said that there's
more,
going to be some sort of festival going on. So maybe in the station you'll see these symbols. It'll feel a lot like Frozen.
I don't know. They got plenty of time till media day. They're gonna keep making shit up.
Just keep making shit up. Put those symbols as flags in there. Maybe have an ice princess and an ice queen as ceremonial
Just have a
people.
red and a blue train. We'll do a fire and an ice train.
Or yeah, you could do that.
Because if they're both red and blue,
I don't know sometimes, but so it is official. AlpenFury is coming to Canada's Wonderland in 2025. I'm excited to see. I might actually get up there next year. I looked shockingly when we were doing the last show talking about the rumor. Said, well, let me see how long it actually is to Canada, and it's only 8 hours for me, which is for us a short trip.
for me, it's like it's in that weird zone where it's like too close to fly to, but like too far to drive in one shot.
How far is it for you?
It's like a 14-hour drive, 13-hour
Oh
drive.
my, so that's crazy that I'm closer to Toronto than you are. Like that's like geographically America's crazy like that. I would never have guessed that. Whatever. I would never have guessed it.
New York is pretty big. Yeah, just getting to like Buffalo takes me like 12 hours.
Oh my, what?
Yeah.
What? I I'm gonna have to Google Maps that one myself because I don't believe you. It's like crazy. I can get to Florida in like 16. Like that's crazy. Like I don't know. Um,
Florida 20.
right? So 8 hours to Canada. That might be on my list. I gotta go get my passports updated to be able to actually get into the country. So maybe I'll try and get up there for the summer months and get another few rides on that wonderful Leviathan Speed Hill. Everyone loves that one. So I'm of course Andrew Barchek from Chicago, Illinois.
I'm Jeff Goodman on Long Island, New York.
Right on, right Warriors.